Hello everyone and welcome to the My Greek Island podcast with your hosts George Tsounyas
and Maria Petrakou. Now today we will be presenting to you a local hero all the way from the secluded island of Anafi. And although we have a specific topic in mind, bear with us because today's guest is actually a very special one as she has a very interesting tale to tell.
Oh, that is right. And although the topic of today's discussion is the vegan scene of Greece, the title could have many, as our guest has many dimensions to her that we'll be covering in much more detail, and we'll be talking much more than just veganism. But personally, I'm not a vegan, so I'm really interested to learn just that little bit more about veganism in Greece.
But before we jump into it, for any of you not following us on Instagram, make sure you press that pause button right now and head over to the gram to give us a follow. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe the podcast and maybe even drop a few review or two. So, because that does help us keep coming back with more content, right, George?
Not only that, it boosts our ego. So without further ado, let's play that intro, Maria, and get into today's episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island, with your hosts George and Maria.
Today, we have a local hero all the way from the island of Anafi. And if, like me, you are wondering, where is that? Don't worry, we will be explaining to you exactly where it is. She is a very special guest, special for many reasons. Isn't that right, Maria?
Yeah, that's very right. So she lives on the secluded island of Anafi, as you mentioned. She's 1/4 Greek, and that's also the name she goes by on her Instagram handle and her website. And she left the hustle and bustle of the city life and moved to Greece, initially Santorini, and now she's in Anafi. She learnt fluent Greek. She's a photographer. She's a blogger. She's a passionate wine lover. She's vegan. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So let's just say she's a superwoman.
Exactly. Let's say she is. I think she is, to be fair. So let's not keep you waiting any longer. Let's head over to Anafi and meet our guest, Nicoletta Barbata. Γεια σου, Νικολέτα.
Γεια σου, τι κάνετε?
Καλά, εσύ. Γεια σου, Nicoletta, και από μένα. From me as well. Oh my God, I started talking Greek. So welcome to the My Greek Island podcast. It's actually, it's great to have you. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yes,
it's great to see your face again. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation and for the amazing introduction. So you made my day and made me blush.
Although it's all, I mean, I think I've sort of, I sometimes feel that I've undersold you because there's so many more attributes to your character that could be added to that intro. So I'm glad we made your day, but you don't have to blush because it's definitely all true.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to finding out more after that introduction. And as we mentioned in the introduction, you're a quarter Greek. Now, I'm half Greek English. I also speak some French and Italian in addition to my native Greek and English. So I'm really, really intrigued to hear about your other 3/4.
Well, I guess you can guess it from my very discreet accent. So I'm 3/4 Italian. So I think I have I'm lucky because I have a nice history. My grandmother was Greek from Kefalonia, and my grandfather was one of the soldiers that was sent to Kefalonia during the Second World War. So it might ring a bell.
Yes, that sounds a bit like
movie.
Captain Corelli's mandolin.
Yes, actually, it's true. I'm not, it's not a joke, but my grandfather also used to play mandolin. So I might be the daughter of Penelope Cruz.
Maybe your life will be made a film one day. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe a book.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is from where my quarter comes from. Then actually my father, who's half Greek and half Italian, was born in Italy after the war. The story is kind of complicated as most of the family stories. So anyway, to make it short, he actually didn't have a great connection with the Greek family because my grandmother passed away when she was very young. She was 30. But somehow I always felt, a bit Greek. And, I felt that I had a connection with Greece. So I had the dream to move to Greece for a while before moving actually in 2017.
Amazing.
And did you speak Greek before you moved to Greece?
No, I didn't, because also my father again. So basically, my father was around 10 when his mother passed away. So he didn't really speak Greek. We used to come on holiday when I was a child because the first sister of my father, she was born and raised in Greece. So we used to come to Greece to visit her. But, apart from Kalimera, Kalispera, that was almost it. Yeah. So at some point when I had, started thinking about moving, I decided to take private lessons, which are still going on.
Wow.
It's gonna be, it's been almost, I think, 10 years now.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So, and meanwhile, I moved from Italy. I was in my family. I was born and raised in Milan, even though my family is from the south. I moved to Rome, back to Milan, London, and then Greece. So meanwhile, having Greek lessons every now and then, thanks to Skype and internet.
Yeah, amazing. And I mean, you left those busy cities and moved to Greece. And whenever I think of you, I always think of that phrase, get up, go to Greece, never return.
Yes.
And you initially moved to an island, which was the island of Santorini. And 2 years ago, when I met you, you were at a turning point.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about the decision to move to Greece? How was Santorini and that turning point 2 years ago where you decided to leave Santorini?
Yeah, so basically, after coming to Greece on holiday as a child, then I started traveling alone. So at some point, I think it was 2005, I did a bit of island hopping by myself. So, backpacking. And, I was trying to figure out what, should I visit? And actually Santorini was not really on my list because even at that time, I thought it was maybe too touristic, maybe too romantic. And, I was alone with my backpack, so not really a couple, maybe also too expensive. But then, I thought, okay, maybe I should just go and put the tick on my list, done, and maybe stay a couple of nights and go somewhere else. So luckily, I can't remember really how. I remember I bumped into, I think it was on TripAdvisor, on a small bed and breakfast in Akrotiri in the south. And, from there, I started doing a bit of research and I understood that it was like the more traditional part of the island. So I went to this place and I immediately had a very strong connection with the lady who was running it, Eva. Her name is Eva, who's I consider her my second mother.
Sweet.
So I think it was a combination of things. Probably mainly this person, of course, also the island, the volcano, probably also the energy, the area of the south of Akrotiri, the lighthouse. So I remember that I immediately thought, I want to move. I would love to live here. But I thought it was okay, maybe it's just a dream. Back home I was in a relationship, so I was like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's crazy. I had a kind of office job, 9 to 5, so I thought maybe it was a bit too crazy. And also when I went back and I start chatting about this with family and friends, they were like, yeah, you're crazy. Everyone would love to move to a holiday place and live there, but it's just a dream. So then what I did, I started actually going back to Akrotiri, to the same place, to visit this family and Eva, almost every year, staying more and more. At the beginning I was pairing Santorini with another island, and then mainly staying in Santorini, actually mainly staying in Akrotiri, I have to say. Then at some point I decided to start taking Greek lessons, because I thought, in case at some point of my life I'm gonna make this dream come true, I'm gonna be ready to start my Greek life.
You knew what was coming, Nicoletta. you were preparing yourself.
Well, I thought anyway, it's not bad to learn another language. True.
Yeah, it's always good.
Not very useful maybe, but it's still I think a good thing. So I started siga siga, as we say in Greek, slowly. And then I actually moved in 2017, and meanwhile I moved to Milan, Rome, back to Milan, London. But I was always also kind of looking out for Greek communities, Greek restaurants, Greek whatever. In London I was known as the Greek stalker.
Don't worry, that was literally me when I was at university, because I grew up in Greece and moved to England when I was 10, and anytime I saw a Greek person I was like, you're Greek, let's be friends.
Yeah. So then I moved finally in 2017 to Santorini, Akrotiri, of course. That was my village for 4 years and a half. It was great. I loved it. I still love Santorini. I think it's a very unique place, even though at the moment, a bit too much, maybe spoiled by tourism. So anyway, at some point, I think from one side, maybe I was looking for something else, and maybe something else which was much more quieter, especially in summer, because in winter time also Santorini is very quiet. I think I was looking for something smaller, basically, and maybe probably less people. So I had a list of islands to kind of go and check out. So the first one, which is not really smaller, it was Syros. I know you did also a podcast about it, which is a great island. I loved it. I really love the people there. But
I don't see how it's quieter though. It's quite busy all year round, isn't it?
Yeah, but rather than that, I think I didn't feel on an island. I felt I was on a small, lovely, like port town, port city, something like this. So I thought, okay, I think I could live easily there, because also there is a lot of art, culture, music, a lot of things going on. But I thought maybe not now. So the second choice, the second and the third, it was basically Anafi and Amorgos. And I didn't make it to Amorgos. So yeah, when I arrived in Anafi, I booked myself like a week. And it was actually also very specific, because it was the week after the second lockdown. So it was the first day they opened, the travel we were able to travel anywhere. So I think I was the only one getting down from the ferry.
Wow.
And I remember that, driving to the place that I booked, I thought, this place, I don't know, the smell, I think that, this is going to be the place where I can move. And then, I stayed for actually more than a week. And here we are.
You did. And then I think as soon as you returned to Santorini, I got on the first flight and came over, and that's when I met you. And you just come back from Anafi.
Yes.
and you just come back from Anafi, and you said, I'm moving to Anafi. And I was like, what?
Yeah, almost everyone, because it's a very small island.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe in the summer, Maria, we should be taking our backpacks and, maybe we'll have that moment when we're moving to a place that we visit, because it could happen.
It's possible, yes.
Yeah, I'm not a very risky person, but you never know. You could fall in love with something. But going back to the island of Anafi, could you tell us just a little bit more about the island? I just know that it's quite remote. The access can be quite limited at times. As you said, we're recording in the winter, so with some bad weather, maybe the boat doesn't arrive. But I also remember, I think when Maria visited, I think it was one of your recommendations. She said, make sure you take certain items with you because it doesn't have a big supermarket on the island, or access to all the stuff that you can get on most islands is not possible. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's a very small island. Actually, it's not even that small, but there is a very tiny community. So we are only 150 people. When I came back now in January from my Christmas holidays, I think it was only 30 people. There are 2 small mini markets, so of course you have access to food and everyday items, but no big ones. There is no pharmacy, so for example, if you're coming and you need some medicines, you have to be prepared and to have them with you. Everything depends on the weather, especially in winter, but also in summertime. So there are only few ferries per week. So usually it's during the winter time, it's 2 ferries per week. And in summertime, it's more ferries, but still kind of on the same days. So that means you cannot come and, arrive and leave every day in Anafi. There are some days where there are no ferries, or maybe you can only go towards north or towards south. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of complicated to reach, even in high season. Of course, you have to want to come. Really, you really want to, you have to research. You have to understand how to arrive. So that means that the people that arrive kind of like-minded. Mm-hmm. And also they're willing to stay for, let's say, a kind of a long time. I don't know, in Santorini, I think that people don't stay more than 2 or 3 nights. So here you have to, you cannot stay 1 night or 2. So usually you have to stay either 2 or 3 or like a week, depending on the ferry. So that means that, again, there are people that are traveling in a different way. They're not looking for something fast. Of course, for me, there is lots to do, but, probably it's not that obvious. Yeah. So I think it's a very unique place where, the life is very slow. Mm-hmm. In summertime, of course, it's a bit different, especially now in July and August. It's becoming popular, which again I think it's still good for the island and for the economy of the island. August is very, very busy. It's a kind of weird to say party island in especially in August. So people come, and I think usually people would say that they come to Anafi because they feel free. It was very popular also in the 70s for free camping. So I would define it also a bit as a hippie island.
I would also add that what you said before, that it's an island you really should want to go to, because it's not easy to get to, but also the ferry times can be very weird. So you can be arriving at the island at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. So you really need to want to go. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Like it just has that hippie vibe, and the freedom, and quite a few of the beaches are nudist beaches. So if I recall correctly, so it's a very freestyle vibe. It's very chilled. Nothing is pretentious, and everything is just relaxed.
Yes, you take your time to do whatever you want. I actually I just finished to write a small piece for a Greek magazine. They asked me, some to write about Anafi in winter. And I think that, what I wrote is that it's true that people think that freedom, which I also agree, it's, being naked on a beach or do whatever you want, dance until, the morning. But I think that what Anafi offers you is the chance not to do, and basically to stay, to relax, and not thinking about doing something specific, which I think it's very rare, especially at least in my experience when you live, for example, in London or in big cities. So you feel, there is no FOMO in Anafi. Mm-hmm. Because there is nothing to missing out, and I think that that's beautiful, actually. So that's the beauty of the island.
100%. Now, moving on, we did refer to you as a superwoman in the intro, and yay! And the reason is because you're so diverse. You blog, you're a photographer, you cook. But I know that you do more than that. So tell us a bit about your job.
Wow, that's difficult. Because I actually, I do a lot of things. So after being for a part of my life an employee, I decided that I wanted to feel free, to manage my time. So since I arrived to Greece, so I'm a freelance. I'm a photographer. I manage, let's say, I do a bit of content for other Instagrams. I have a blog. I sometimes write like blog posts for other magazines or blogs. My main experience from a past life is let's say like a production assistant in music and in art. So of course here I don't have this opportunity to deal with music or art a bit maybe. So what I'm trying to do is using my organizing skills within the travel industry. So I basically, what I do, I help let's say people that want to come, for example, to Greece to have a yoga retreat, like a yoga teacher, let's say, for example. So I can organize all the trip from hotels, restaurants, activities, like a consultant or like a project manager. It's, I don't know. I don't think I can use one word to define my. So basically, I do a lot of things. I love cooking. So last year, when I first moved to Anafi, I actually worked in a taverna, in a restaurant here in Anafi, in the kitchen as a chef assistant. That was a great experience. But I love cooking, generally speaking. And for example, the island offers you the opportunity to go and find your food in nature, especially if you are vegan, as I am. So for example, I go and collect wild greens. The other day I went to collect lemons, olives. I do harvesting for a wine, for grapes, and because there is a production of wine on the island. So I'm trying to put myself out in nature after being in London and Rome and, and Milan. So trying to have a different life.
You are definitely a true vegan. You are actually living off the earth, and I think that's veganism probably at its best. And you mentioned the winery. I think we do need, George, we need to have a separate episode where I think we need to bring on the episode Nicoletta in combination with Stefanos, who's also working at the winery, and have a dedicated episode to this.
Yeah.
But moving on to the topic of veganism, which is supposed to be the topic of the podcast, but there's so much to talk to you about that.
Yeah, it's like we need a title for the podcast.
To get there. So I actually don't know the answer to this question. I know that you're vegan and I know that you've been vegan for quite some time, but I don't know why you turned vegan or when. So tell us about that.
So I'm 42, but I used to be vegetarian since my 15. So 15 to 30, for 15 years, I was vegetarian. And I did it since the beginning for the animals. It was a while ago, so I probably didn't do my research properly, or at least, I think also I was maybe younger. It was also quite difficult that time, so I didn't consider, the difference in between vegetarian and vegan. When I started thinking about becoming vegan at that time, I thought it was going to be difficult on a social level, which I think it is also nowadays, even not in, it's easier now, but not that much. So anyway, for a while, I was vegan at home. Actually, when I was in London, I was vegan at home. And if I was outside with people, I would kind of share and be inflexible. But since I moved to Greece, I think after maybe 6 months, I decided to go fully vegan because of the animals, because of the environment, and also the way I feel. I feel actually healthier. And also I think because of the kind of life that I'm, having here. So it's very, it doesn't depend on me actually, most of my choices during the day, they come from outside, from the weather, from nature. So it was kind of easy also because Greece, it's, I would say, vegetarian friendly because of its history and culture because of religion. So most of especially in the past, I think for more than half of the days of the year, they used to fast. So that means that for a part of the year, they become, I would say, 80% vegan. So for example, nowadays there are not so many people that fast so many days, but they usually do the fasting for Easter. So the 40 days before Easter, actually it's easier to eat vegan in Greece. Most of the traditional dishes are plant-based. So in almost every taverna, you can find something to eat, which is not only, let's say, a Greek salad without the feta.
I think isn't a common misconception as well, because, people often think, and I know when people go to Greece that I know that often think of it being very meat heavy. And I mean, you do have the reference of it in My Big Fat Greek Wedding when she's like, do you not eat meat? But you can get lots. Let's have lamb or chicken. So you can get lots of vegan options in the taverna, as you mentioned. And my mum will love you because she loves cooking, and you were cooking in a traditional taverna. I'm sure you got loads of really good recipes and cooking with the locals. But for our listeners, what type of vegan options should they look out for when going to Greece? I think you mentioned some, but is there any that you really love ordering when you go to restaurants?
Well, the ones that are easier to find, let's say, they're fava, the yellow split pea puree, merizzano salata. Usually it's in every taverna. Of course, the Greek salad without the feta, horta, which I really love, which is very simple.
Oh, yes.
So they're basically, horta means green vegetables, greens, and, you just with olive oil and lemon. So
they're amazing.
That, for example, this is something I collect here, the wild greens.
Oh, wow.
And I do it myself.
Yeah.
Faques, lentil soup, revizada, chickpea soup, all the, in Greek, they call them these dishes ladera. So there are many of them, they're basically cooked with tomato sauce and olive oil, different kind of vegetables, briam, which is a kind of ratatouille. So there are many, araka, So peas and potatoes,
Yeah.
or peas and carrots.
Loads of
There are
options.
many. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely loads of options. And I think, so I do have a cheat sheet on the website, which effectively tells you the various dishes in Greece and which of them are vegetarian or can also be vegan. And you've also got dolmades, which in many regions they make them without meat, and which is a great vegan dish as well, which is effectively stuffed vine leaves with rice and various herbs. But anyway, over the years, places are getting more and more vegan friendly, and we've noticed that there's more businesses popping up over Greece. We've even got vegan hotels popping up, and it's becoming more and more popular. But since you've been in Greece, how, in your view, has the vegan scene evolved?
I think people are more aware of what means being vegan. Athens is great. There are many vegan places. There is actually, it's been, I would say, almost 10 years. There is a vegan mini market, called Bamboo Vegan.
Ah, yes.
There is a vegan festival, which is actually one of the most important in Europe. So it started like an event organized by a group of friends, and now I think that last year they had like almost 40,000 visitors. So usually it's on 2 days. Yes, it's on a weekend. Usually I think it's the first weekend of October. And there are lots of exhibitors, not only for food, also for items for the house. Plastic-free projects.
It's not just covering veganism, it's also covering sustainability and eco-friendly products.
Yeah, because anyway, usually it's part of the philosophy. It's not only about food. So it's they also host guests that there are some cooking classes or some talks about being vegan and having children. Traveling, being vegan. So there are, it's a very interesting event.
Where exactly is it?
Usually the location is Gazi.
Okay. Yeah.
Usually it's there.
Wow.
But,
okay.
Yes.
I think we should have. I mean, another episode idea. Sorry, Nicoletta. You don't have to agree to them here. But it sounds like a really interesting thing. Like 40,000 people coming to it in Gazi. I mean, I'm thinking like what exhibition space they have. That's like, well, I guess over the weekend. But that's really.
Yeah, over the weekend.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I think they do one time in October in Athens. I think in April in Thessaloniki. And they used to do it also in Chania in Crete. I don't think they're doing it anymore, but this is the way I met them. I went to Chania the first time. Yeah, they're actually great people, and young and enthusiastic. And
well, you've sold me the festival, and you've sold me coming to Anafi. I'm really intrigued about coming. I am committed to taking the 3 a.m. boats and being free. I don't think about the nudist thing as my thing, but I'll embrace everything else. So
but okay, so I think we need to pencil in another episode for Anafi then, and also the vegan festival. That sounds amazing, and I think, George, we need to get to Greece in October to join Nicoletta at this festival.
Yes.
But I mean, there will do multiple episodes with Nicoletta, though, right?
There's multiple episodes with you, Nicoletta. It's been so interesting. So thank you very much. I've learned a lot, and definitely want to visit Anafi. I know Maria has. Maybe she can go a second time. Maybe with a backpack.
Sure.
Well, actually, the people that come to Anafi, they usually come back.
Okay, there you go.
They do. And if you see a picture of Nicoletta's focaccia, you're going to want to go tomorrow.
I'm gonna welcome you at 3 a.m. at the port.
Okay, with the
focaccia in my hand.
Okay,
and a bottle of wine on the other one.
Okay, great, amazing. I mean, before we close every episode, we have like a Greek phrase of the episode, and I think because you've talked about veganism, maybe we could give our listeners, Maria, something to do, like asking, do you have any vegan food or options? What do you think?
Yeah. So how about we say, do you have vegan options?
Okay, so that would be Έχετε vígan επιλογές. So Έχετε vígan επιλογές. Perfect. So you can ask that and you will get a vegan option.
Yeah.
Kaliorexy.
Kaliorexy, yes.
Kaliorexy.
Hopefully our listeners know that one because we do it in the bite-sized learning. So hopefully they will know that one.
Okay, so before we close, we of course thank our guest very much for joining us today, Nicoletta. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing all of this valuable information about everything and about so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
So thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to having you again.
Yes.
Yeah, and if anyone does visit Anafi, make sure you look out for Nicoletta. She's one of the 150 people living there. Or
I have very long hair. They're gonna.
You can't miss her hair.
Yeah. And
another
finally,
one of her superpowers.
And I'm loud as well.
Superpowers.
Yeah. And how could our listeners get in touch if they wanted to use some of your services?
So they can contact me on my website or on Instagram. So my project, the name of my project is onequartergreek. So you know now why. So the handle of my Instagram is onequartergreek, or onequartergreek.com is my site.
Amazing. I mean, we will be, as the good podcasters we are unhost, we will be having everything in the notes section of the podcast. So go check them out. All the links so people can get in touch and come and find you on Anafi.
Yes, I'm gonna wait for you.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening. See you on the next episode.
Bye.
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 Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag @MyGreekIsland on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek,
Ta leme.